Hello, my name is Douglas Bloch. I'm an author and mental health educator. Welcome to your Depression Recovery channel, where each week we talk about practical tools and coping strategies for healing from depression and anxiety. This is episode 5 of my audiobook, When Going Through Hell, Don't Stop. In this episode, you'll be hearing part 1 of chapter 3, Treading Fire. And in this chapter, I talk about how after trying to keep it together on the outside, I finally had to go into the psychiatric ward, and how from there I transitioned into a really good outpatient clinic.
Chapter 3 Treading Fire. My Survival Plan for Living in Hell. When a man finds that it's his destiny to suffer, he will have to accept his suffering as his single and unique task. No one can relieve him of his suffering or suffer in his place. His unique opportunity lies in the way in which he bears his burden. Viktor Frankl. War is hell. So is mental illness. Binford W. Gilbert. The towering door closed behind me with grave finality. "Are you sure you have to keep it locked?" I asked the orderly. "I voluntarily checked myself in here, so I don't think I'm going to try and escape." "It's not you that we're worried about," he replied. "With all of the addicts on this ward, we can't risk having any more drugs smuggled into the unit. That's why no one is allowed to go outside." This was not the private facility at Springbrook, with its manicured walking paths. With all my other options exhausted, I had entered Pacific Gateway Hospital, a dual diagnosis psychiatric facility in the Portland area. Unlike Springbrook and other drug and alcohol treatment centers, Gateway accepted patients who suffered solely from mental disorders. While Springbrook's clientele consisted of doctors, lawyers, and other professionals, Gateway ministered to the common folk. Like pilgrims converging on Mecca, they streamed in from all parts of the Pacific Northwest, seeking salvation from the 3 Ds: drinking, drugging, and depression. At Gateway, instead of having 72 hours to get better, my managed care provider had granted me 7 to 10 days, an inadequate time to heal from depression, let alone get clean and sober. It was the best I could muster. My days at Gateway were spent attending groups, playing backgammon, and being beaten at speed chess by a mercurial manic depressive who supported his drug habit by hustling chess games on the street. During my stay, my condition declined. Not because of the environment — Gateway had an excellent reputation — but because the depressive illness had taken on a life of its own and was metastasizing through me like a psychic cancer. The downward trajectory of my disease was evidenced by the increasing frequency and duration of my anxiety attacks. Without the option of outdoor exercise, I was reduced to pacing the hallways, wearing out both the carpets and my welcome. My sorry plight earned me the sympathy of even the hardcore heroin users who housed the ward. I imagined them saying, "We thought we had problems, but this dude is really messed up." As the day grew closer to my release, I began to panic. Joan was now working full-time, and if I could not create an alternative support system, I would be shipped off to the state hospital at Salem. At this point, my good friend Kathleen came to visit. Seeing my distress, she took out a piece of paper and wrote these words of hope and encouragement to give to me. "Douglas, you are falling apart in order to be put together in a new way. You will come through this because you are loved. As a result of this breakdown, you will emerge a better person. You are strong. You made a decision not to give up in the past, and you will not give up now. all of the good you have done will help you to a better future. Not long afterward, I noticed a new person in the lunchroom who wasn't from our unit. "Hi," I reached out my hand. "My name is Douglas." "My name is Tom Peters," came the reply. "Are you a patient on the ward?" I asked him. "I attend day treatment next door," he replied. "What's that?" I asked. "It's where people go after they leave the hospital. It's pretty good, actually. We attend groups most of the day and come here for a free lunch." The lunch I couldn't have cared less about. The full-time structure was another matter. "What are the hours?" I inquired. 9:30 till 3:30. Kind of like going to school." Later that day, I approached my psychiatrist, who confirmed that the program was for real. "How soon can I get in?" I inquired. "The program is crowded right now, but they may have space for you. I'll introduce you to the director, Mike Terry, tomorrow at lunch." 2 days later, on November 1, 1996, I was discharged from Gateway. I left the hospital's main entrance, made a right turn, walked 1 block, and found myself at the doorstep of the Selwood Day Treatment Center. Day treatment was a highly structured outpatient program consisting of group and individual therapy that was available to recently hospitalized patients. The center was housed within a historic landmark, the home of Dr. Selwood, after whom the Selwood district of Portland is named. The 2-story dwelling was constructed in 1906 and expressed the Victorian charm and elegance of the homes built during that era. The cheerful, well-lit rooms and tasteful furnishings conveyed a sense of home and family. Day treatment was more than a psychiatric clinic. It was a true therapeutic community. Its healing milieu supplied 3 ingredients that were crucial for my stabilization. 1. Containment. Being in a structured environment with defined limits and daily tasks decreased my anxiety. 2. Contact. Nurturing connection and support from staff and patients helped me to focus outwards and to escape my inner nightmare. 3. Routine. A regular daily rhythm with predictable activities calmed and soothed my nervous system. The heart of the program was group therapy, which ran from 9:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. and was facilitated by members of the treatment team: a psychiatrist, 3 psychologists, 2 social workers, a nurse, an art therapist, a movement therapist, and 2 drug and alcohol counselors. Day treatment provided me with a complete, uninterrupted support system, which far surpassed the assistance that any single therapist could offer. For the next 9 months, this program would play a pivotal role in my survival. It was not the content, but the context of day treatment that I found so healing. The psychological information presented in the groups was fairly elementary. I had learned most of it in my first year of undergraduate studies. It didn't matter. I was not attending the program to add to my intellectual knowledge. I was there because I needed the structure and support. I decided to humble myself and to accept the help that was so generously offered. Asking the right question. Shortly after my arrival at day treatment, I was assigned to my individual therapist, Pat Ritter. Pat was a registered nurse and a recovering alcoholic who, having been clinically depressed herself, understood mental illness from both sides of the hospital door. "This is your life," Pat stated, matter-of-factly at our first meeting. For reasons we may not understand, the universe has given you the challenge of major depression right now. You do not get to choose whether you have this mental illness. Your choice lies in how you are going to deal with it. But what about those self-help books that say you can create anything you want if you just apply the right technique? I asked. I was thinking about all the can-do motivational self-help tracts I had read and written in my quest for self-improvement. They may work in other contexts, she replied, but not in this one. This time, you are dealing with a force that is more powerful than your ego. As Pat spoke, I imagined myself as a sailor who had survived a terrible shipwreck and was lost at sea. I shared my image with Pat. What is the task of that sailor? She asked. To try and stay afloat until help comes. Precisely. Your job is to create an emotional life raft that will keep you afloat until the pattern of your illness shifts. And how do I do this? In AA, we have something called the 24-hour plan. Instead of promising never to drink again, we focus on keeping sober for the current 24 hours. I suggest you adopt a similar strategy. Pat was right. Whenever I contemplated the prospect of dealing with my pain over the long term, I became overwhelmed. But if I could reduce my life to a single 24-hour segment of time, that was something I could handle. If I could tread water, or, being in hell, tread fire, each day, then perhaps I could survive my ordeal. A survival plan for living in hell. My definition of a man is this: a being who can get used to anything. Dostoevsky. Working together, Pat and I created what I called my daily survival plan. The central idea was simple: to develop coping strategies that would get me through the day, hour by hour, minute by minute. Because I was fighting a war on two fronts, depression and anxiety, I had to devise and employ techniques that would deal with both. I used my coping strategies to create 4 categories of support, which I have summarized on the following pages. These categories are physical support, mental, emotional support, spiritual support, and most importantly, people support. Putting together a survival plan did more than help me cope. In designing and carrying out this program, I became the captain of my ship, an empowering move for someone who felt powerless. As Pat later reflected, when you made the decision to do more, I saw a glimmer of hope in your eyes. Here, then, is the plan we created. People support. The centerpiece of my survival strategy involved being around people. Interacting with other human beings drew me out of my tormented inner world and gave me something external to focus on. Talking with others was often the only intervention that would calm me down in the midst of a major anxiety attack. Like a screaming infant who is held by his mother, I found human contact tranquilizing and soothing. My sense of connection with people also gave me a reason not to harm myself. I did not want to afflict my friends and family with the anguish that would result from my self-imposed departure. Kim, a lifeguard at the pool where I swam, agreed with my thinking. Other people are a good reason to stay alive, she affirmed. Knowing the curative effect of human caring and connection, I committed myself to attend day treatment. Unfortunately, getting going in the morning was not so simple. Like many people who suffer from depression, my symptoms were most severe in the morning. Oftentimes, I would awake at 6 a.m., paralyzed by fear and overwhelmed by anxiety. To deal with my immobility, I asked 5 of my friends if they would each pick a day of the week to call me and roust me out of bed. Hearing a caring person's voice on the other end of the telephone line served as a natural tranquilizer. The plan worked beautifully, and on those days when I was totally incapacitated, my friend Christine would drive me to day treatment. Instead of being home, pacing the floors and hitting myself, I had a place to go where being around others ensured that I was safe. In addition to group therapy, the other cornerstone of my day treatment was my individual therapy, which took place on Tuesdays and Thursdays. These sessions did not consist of the usual insight-oriented psychotherapy. Being in survival mode, my goal was to focus on present moment coping strategies. For example, I often entered Pat's office in the middle of a full-blown anxiety attack and spent the session pacing the floor while Pat gently coaxed me into taking a Klonopin. In this way, Pat functioned as a cheerleader, encouraging me from the sidelines.
This is Douglas Bloch. I hope you enjoyed listening to this part of my book. If you did so, please give the video a like. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments section, or you can email me, douglasbloch@gmail.com. If you'd like to subscribe to this channel, just click on my photo in the closing credits. You'll be taken to my subscribe page, where you can click on the subscribe button, and if you click on the bell up to the right or next to it, you'll be notified every time I make a new video or do a live chat. And until we meet again, I wish you the best in your mental health recovery. Thank you.